안녕하세요. 오늘은 미션 22일차예요. 오늘 가져온 기사는 고정관념이라는 키워드가 들어가 있어요. 이런 제목의 기사를 가지고 왔고요. 오늘 바로 공부를 시작해 보도록 할게요. Study finds stereotypes about boys, girls begin at early age. Expectation, a belief that something will happen. Expectation. 그다음에 rigidly 굳게, 엄격히, 완고하게. rigidly in a strict way that doesn't allow change. rigidly 굳게, 엄격히. rigidly 그다음에 enforce 두 가지 뜻이 있네. 버튼을 실시하다. enforce 시행하다. 그 다음에 강요하다. 법은 꼭 지켜야 되는 거니까, 강요된 거니까 실시하다도 되고 강요하다도 되고. 그래서 예문을 보면
The legislation will be difficult to enforce.
The legislation will be difficult to enforce. Legislation. Am I enforcing it too much?
Am I enforcing it too much?
내가 너무 강요하니? 이런 강요하다. 여기서는 어떻게 쓰였을까? 여기서는 강요하다로 쓰였을 것 같아요. Exercise 2 article. Study finds stereotypes about boys, girls begin at the early age. Whether children live in Baltimore, Beijing, Nairobi, or New Delhi, by the time they are 15, boys are told to go outside and have adventures, while girls are told to stay indoors and do housework. Whether children live in Baltimore, whether 뭐뭐이든 아니든. whether
weather,
weather, weather. Children live in Baltimore, Baltimore.
Baltimore,
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 Baltimore, Baltimore. Beijing,
Beijing,
Beijing.
Nairobi,
Nairobi, Nairobi, Nairobi, Nairobi. 요경이 있구나. Nairobi or New Delhi. By the time, by the time, by the time. By the time. 그때까지. 예문을 봐야겠다. By the time. 뭐뭐 할 쯤. 그러니까 15살 때쯤. 뭐뭐 할 쯤도 되네. By the time we arrived, the meeting was over. 우리가 도착했을 때쯤에는 그 모임이 끝이 났었다. By the time I arrived on the scene, it was all over. 내가 현장에 도착했을 때쯤에는 그것이 모두 끝나 있었다. 그러면 얘가 뭐뭐 했을 때쯤, 뭐뭐 할 때쯤 이렇게 해석하는 게 낫겠다. By the time they are 15, 15살 때쯤, boys are told to go outside and have adventures. Be told to. 당부를 받아? 뭐뭐 하라고 한다. 듣는 거야, 그러니까. Boys are told to. 남자들은 이렇게 얘기를 들어. Boys are told to go outside and have adventures. 모험을 하라고. While girls are told to stay indoors and do housework. Do housework. 집안일 하라고? 소꿉장난은 뭐야? playing house. 뭐다? playhouse. playhouse. 소꿉놀이는 playhouse. 근데 어쨌든 이렇게 하라. do housework. 집안일을 하다. do housework. Go outside, stay indoors. Go outside and stay indoors. and have adventures and do housework. Adventure. Adventure. Health specialist interviewed 450 poor children and their parents about gender expectations. Gender expectations in total of 사이에서 15 high, low, and middle income countries. Middle income. The children included in the study were between the ages of 10 and 14. The key finding was that rigidly held and enforced gender expectations are linked to increased lifelong health risks. lifelong이 평생 동안의 일생에 link to 연관이 있대. 증가된 현생의 health risk랑 관련이 있대. health risk 건강상의 위험. Gender expectations are linked to increased lifelong health risk. 관련이 있다. Everything from HIV and depression to violence and suicide. Everything from HIV. AIDS구나. IV. 그래. And depression to violence. Suicide. Everything from HIV and depression. From to가 있구나. 여기서 에이즈와 우울증부터 폭력이나 자살까지 from to로 연결됐구나. From to. The key finding was reasonably held and enforced gender expectations are The key finding was that rigidly held and enforced gender expectations are linked to increased lifelong health risks, everything from HIV and depression to violence and suicide. We found children at a very early age. At a very early age. 아주 어릴 때. We found children at a very early age. 그 나이에 있는 children at a very early age, at a very early age, at early age, at an early age, at a very early age. We found children at a very early age. 아주 어린 나이에 있는 아이들은 little children이라고 하는 거 할 수도 있구나. At a very early age, from the most conservative 발음이 conservative V가 아니네. conservative 보수적인. From the most conservative from the most conservative to the most liberal 그러니까는 from the most conservative to the most liberal societies. 그러니까 엄청 보수적인 곳부터 자유로운 곳까지 quickly internalize this myth that girls are vulnerable and boys are strong and independent.
vulnerable,
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 vulnerable, vulnerable, 어려운데. vulnerable, vulnerable,
vulnerable,
vulnerable, vulnerable,
vulnerable,
vulnerable, vulnerable, vulnerable, vulnerable, 어려워. 취약한,
vulnerable,
vulnerable, vulnerable, said Robert Ballum, director of the Global Only. 이렇게 어려운 단어가 많지 오늘은. adolescent. 청소년.
adolescent,
adolescent, adolescent. 청소년. adolescent, adolescent, adolescent. Early adolescent study at Johns Hopkins University. The researchers found that in most cultures, by the time girls are 10 years old, they have been taught that their key asset is their physical appearance. Key asset. 교조사. Their key asset.
key asset,
Asset.
asset,
Asset. Physical appearance.
physical appearance,
Physical appearance. Physical appearance. Lead researcher Kirsten and Murray said, no matter where they are, no matter where they are, 들이 어디 있었던 간에, no matter where they are, no matter where they are, no matter where they are, girls are concerned about their bodies and others' attitudes to them. Are concerned. Be concerned. concerned about. 걱정이네. Are concerned about. Concerned about. You don't need to be concerned about these.
you don't need to be concerned about these diaphora. You don't need to be concerned about these diaphora.
Be concerned to hear the news. Be concerned in a matter. 관련이 있다. Be concerned in은 관련이 있다. You don't have to be concerned about Stephen. Don't be concerned about the problem of a little moment. Be concerned about. 난 뭐가 걱정이 돼. Don't be concerned about. Don't be concerned about Steven. Steven 걱정은 안 해도 돼. Don't be concerned about the problem of a little moment. Don't be concerned about the problem of little moment. 별로 중요하지 않은 것 때문에 We should be concerned about our environment. We should also be concerned about our environment.
Hygiene.
There's nothing to be concerned about. 고민할 거 없어. There's nothing to be concerned about. I'm concerned about the result. What would I have to be concerned about? What would I have to be concerned about? Concerned about. The researchers found that the pressure boys face to become physically strong and independent makes them more likely to be victims of physical violence and homicide. homicide 많이 들어본 건데? 그렇구나.
Homicide.
Homicide. 이게 살인이구나. Homicide. The researchers found that the pressure boys face to become physically strong and independent makes them more likely to be victims. 희생자가 되겠는데. Makes them more likely to. 더 뭐할 가능성이 높게 만든다. Makes them more likely to. Make more likely to. 그러니까 it makes you more likely to 더 이렇게 할 가능성이 높아. To give up. 이건 너가 더 포기하게 할 가능성이 높아. It makes you more likely to give up. Reading English books. Reading English books makes your English more likely to improve. 향상되게 할 수 있어. 가능성이 높아. 그렇구나. 그래서 more likely to be victims of 뭐뭐의 희생양이 되게 할 수 있어. Be victims of physical violence and homicide and more likely to take up unhealthy habits. Take up 할 수 있대. Take up 계속하다, 시작하다, 배우다. 그러니까 take up 하기 시작한대. Take up unhealthy habits. 할 수 있어. Like tobacco, drug, and alcohol use. Adolescents are torn between opposing expectations. Be torn. 갈피를 잡지 못하다? 이런 표현이 있구나. Are torn between be torn between A and B. Be torn between A and B. A와 B 사이에서 갈피를 잡지 못하다. 어쩔 줄 모르다. Be torn. Adolescents are torn between opposing expectations. The study showed especially girls opposing expectations. 갈피를 못 잡는다. 서로 다른 기대 심리에서. Are torn between opposing expectations. Opposing expectations. Opposing expectations are torn. I am torn between her and him. 이런 식으로 쓸 수 있나? Torn. In Shanghai, for example, girls are told they should be economically independent and that they should not rely on men for financial support. At the same time, girls are told their husband will divorce them if they don't do housework. Are told their husband will divorce them if they don't do housework. Okay. Questions. What are children all over the world encouraged to do by the age of 15? Encouraged. 뭘 강요당했지? Boys are told to go outside. Boys are told to go outside or outside and have adventures while girls are told to stay indoors and do housework. What risks do enforced gender expectation pose? What effect does the pressure boys face to become physically strong and independent have? It makes them more likely to be victims. More likely to victims. 아이고, C를 빼먹었네. Victims of physical violence. And homicide. And more likely to take up unhealthy habits. And more likely to take up unhealthy habits like tobacco, drugs, and alcohol. 이런 것도 있대. Tobacco, drugs, and 이런 것도 있대. What are your thoughts on the gender myth mentioned in the article? How might rigidly enforced gender expectations relate to lifelong health risks? Would you say that girls face more restrictive gender stereotypes than boys? How would you explain the fact the same gender myths are found in both liberal and conservative societies? Why do you think these myths about gender have persisted for so long? What gender stereotypes would you say are most common in your country? Did any of these stereotypes affect you when you were growing up? When you were growing up, please explain your answer. Would you say that adolescents are torn between opposing expectations in your country? Why not? Have gender expectations in your country changed over your lifetime? In what ways? 어떤 면에서? In what ways would you say film, music, and television help to perpetuate 연구하다? 계속하게 하다. Stereotypes lose their power when the world is found to be more complex than the stereotype would suggest. Do you agree with this statement? Why not? 오늘은 그 고정관념에 관한 기사를 읽어봤는데요. 기억에 남는 표현은 이번 기사에서 이번에 유용한 표현 많이 배웠다 이런 느낌은 크게 없었고, 그냥 처음 보는 표현이 A와 B 사이에서 갈피를 잡지 못하게 하다. 그러니까 이러지도 저러지도 못하게 갈피를 못 잡게 하다. 이렇게 하는 표현이 be torn between A and B 라는 표현이 좀 갈피를 못 잡겠다 이런 표현할 때 이걸 쓰면 되는구나. 요게 좀 새로운 표현이었는데, 근데 자주 쓸 것 같진 않아서 금방 잊어버릴 것 같고요. 그 다음에 새로운 건강하지 못한 버릇을 시작하게 된다 할 때, 배우다, 시작하다 할 때 take up을 쓸 수 있다는 것도 알게 됐어요. take up unhealthy habits. 그 다음에 무엇을 걱정하다. 이거 너무 많이 보고 흔하게 아는 표현인데 막상 말로는 못 꺼낼 것 같더라고요. be concerned about. 그래서 나는 백신 부작용이 걱정이 돼. 이런 말 할 때 이걸 쓸 수 있겠구나. 요런 거. 그 다음에 be more likely to. 요거가 뭐뭐 할 가능성이 높다라는 건데, 이게 몇 번 나와서 그런 표현이 되게 유용했다고 생각했고, 이 뒷부분 질문은 이번에는 별로 대답하고 싶은 질문들이 없어서 그냥 읽고 넘어갔어요. 그러면 오늘의 공부를 여기까지 하도록 할게요. 안녕.